Today, we're going to talk about solving equations with one variable that contain more than one operations, multiple operations in order to find and isolate that variable, right? So looking at this question, right? So this is a word problem. Alex belongs to a music club. They used to have those back in the day. In this club, students can buy a student discount card for $19.95. This card allows them to buy CDs for $3.95 each. After 1 year, Alex has spent $63.40. We need to find the number of CDs that Alex bought. So here's the equation. $3.95 per CD, right? Every CD times the CDs, the price, times the number of CDs, plus the original discount card, right? And he spent a total of $63.40, right? Cost per CD, cost of the discount card, total cost, right? So in this equation, we have two different operations. We are adding something and we are multiplying something. So we have two different operations that we have to do in order to isolate the variable, right? So you multiply C by 395 and then you add 1995, right? In order to solve it, we're going to subtract the 1995 first because you want to get the variable and whatever it's attached to, right? If it's multiplication or division, you want to get that by itself first. So you need to get rid of whatever you're adding and subtracting before you can do that, right? So in order, once again, like we just talked about in the last video, opposite operation, right? Gotta subtract the 1995. That'll get this by itself. And then the opposite operation of multiplication is division. So we'll then divide, right? All right, so same kind of problem here. Let's go through it, right? We are multiplying a times 4 and we're adding 10. Once again, whatever is attached to the variable, you're going to do that last. So we're going to get rid of our 10 first. Same thing that we did previously, opposite operations. Divide or subtract by 10 from both sides, gives you your 8 is equal to 4a. And then once again, opposite operation, divide both sides by 4, and that gives you a is equal to 2, right? So just because there's two steps in the equation doesn't mean it's more difficult because you know how to do both of these steps. It just takes one step longer. So it takes a little bit longer to do these, and you have to make sure that you keep everything lined up when you're writing it down so that you don't get lost. But we know how to do both of these steps, so it's no more difficult. It just takes a little bit longer. So here we have the same scenario, right? We are multiplying t by 5, and then we're subtracting 2. So as we know how to do, we'll get rid of this -2 first, right? Opposite operation is addition. Add 2 to both sides. -32 plus 2 gives us a -30 equal to 5t. And then once again, opposite operation, divide both sides by 5. A negative divided by a positive gives you a negative. T is equal to -6. All right, try this one on your own. Pause the video and come back for the solution. All right, so we have -4 over here, and then adding that to 7 times x. So we're going to do this last. Get rid of this -4 first. It's a -4, so the opposite operation of a -4 is going to be a +4, right? Because if you're a -4 on your number line, to get to 0, you have to add 4. So we're going to add 4 here to both sides. These are going to cancel out. 7x is equal to 7. 7 times x is equal to 7. So we are going to do the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplication is division. And here we go. Works just the same with decimals. You just have to make sure that you're paying attention to your decimals and where they are. So try this one and then come back for the solution. So in this case, we are multiplying y by 1.2. And then we are subtracting a 5.7. All right, so we're going to get rid of the 5.7 first because we do whatever is attached to the variable last, right? It's a -5.7. We're subtracting 5.7, so we're going to add 5.7 to both sides. giving us 7.2 is equal to 1.2y, 1.2 times y. Opposite operation of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 1.2, giving us 6 as our answer. And it works the same way with division, right? So in this scenario, we are dividing n by 7, n divided by 7, and we're adding a 2. So since n is being divided by 7, these two are what I call attached. So the n is attached to the 7. So we're going to do this positive 2 first. The opposite operation of addition is subtraction. Subtract 2 from both sides, giving us n divided by 7 is equal to 0. All right. And the opposite operation of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 7. So 7 times n divided by 7. These 7s cancel out. And then 7 times 0 is 0. So n is equal to 0. Don't let the fractions scare you. So what you have here, you have y divided by 8. So once again, I consider the y attached to the 8. Then you're subtracting 3/4. All right, so we are going to use fraction operations, right? So we're going to add 3/4 to both sides, right? 3/4 and 7/12. You need a common denominator. The common denominator here is going to be 12. So in order to get 3/4 to have the denominator of 12, you're going to have to multiply by 3, right? Because 4 times 3 equals 12. So 4 times 3 equals 12. And then 3 times 3 is going to equal 9. So you are adding 9/12 to 7/12, which will give you 16/12. Y divided by 8 is equal to 16/12. Once again, since we are dividing y by 8, in order to isolate that y, we are going to multiply by 8. These two 8s cancel out. 8 times 16 is going to give us 128. And we're going to divide that by 12, right? To simplify, it's going to give us 32/3. All right, same thing here. So you can also do the same problem. If you know what a lowest common denominator is, you can do that and you can clear out all the fractions if you know how to do it. So if you multiply both sides by 24, then you can clear out all these fractions. You can do that first if you know what the lowest common denominator is and you're willing to do it this way. I think the other way is easier, but you can also do it this way, right? Use your distributive property, 24 times y over 8 and 24 times negative 3/4, right? 24y divided by 8, right, is going to give you 3y. Negative 24 times 3 is going to give you 72. You're going to divide 72 by 4. It's going to give you, right, 18. And then 24 times 7 divided by 12 gives you 14. So I don't advise you to do it this way, but if you are good with using lowest common denominator to clear out all the fractions, right, then you can do that. And then solve in the same way. Add 18 to both sides, gives us 3y equals 32. Divide both sides by 3, and that's your answer. Once again, you can do it that way. I don't advise it, right? Same thing here, right? Using the fraction operations. 2/3 r plus 3/4 equals 7/12. These are attached, right? We're going to subtract 3/4 from both sides, right? We have to find that common denominator, which is going to be 12. It's the same thing we did before, right? If you multiply 4 by 3 to get to 12, so you have to multiply 3 by 3 to get to 12. So once you multiply that out, you get 9 over 12, right? And then 7 twelves minus 9 twelves, right? Gives you 2 twelves, which reduces to 1/6. Once again, you've subtracted 9 twelfths from 7 twelfths, so it's negative. So you have a negative 1/6. And then you have still your 2/3 r over here. All we have to do is multiply by the reciprocal in order to get rid of that. Multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 2 times 6 is 12. So you have negative 3/12, which reduces to negative 1/4. And that is your answer. Try. Once again, you can use the same method, the lowest common denominator method, to clear out the fractions. All right, the lowest common denominator here is 12, because 3 and 4 and 12 can all be made to be 12 as the denominator. So we're going to multiply both sides by 12. We're going to use our distributive property, right? 2/3 r times 12, 3/4 times 12. And then these 12s are going to cancel out. So we're lucky over here, which leaves us, 12 times 2 equals 24. 24 divided by 3 gives us our 8. 12 times 3 is 36. 36 divided by 4 gives us our 9. And then we can solve this problem this way as well, right? We're going to get rid of our 9 by doing the opposite operation, subtracting. Gives us 8r is equal to negative 2. Since we're multiplying 8 times r, we're now going to divide by 8, right? These 8's cancel out, give you your r. Negative 2 divided by 8, it reduces to negative 1/4. And once again, as before, you can write this as 2/5 times x, right? We can clear out using our lowest common denominator in the same fashion. Distribute your 10, right? 10 times 2 is 20, divided by 5 gives us 4. Negative 10 times 1 is 10, divided by 2 gives us negative 5. Then it's equal to 50. We solve the problem in the same way. You got a negative 5, so you need a positive 5. So you're adding 5 to both sides. Gives you 4x is equal to 55. We're multiplying 4 times x here, so we are going to divide by 4. X is equal to 55/4, right? You can do the same. Try this example here on your own. But it's really just the same thing. 2-step equations, right? Just still 2-step equations. So we can clear these out with the lowest common denominator being 8. Multiply both sides by 8. Distribute your 8. Once again, this is really good if you're good with lowest common denominators. Distribute this out, right? Bada bing, bada boom. 8 times 3, 24. 24 divided by 4 is 6, so we get 6u. 8 times 1 is 8, divided by 2 is 4. And then these 8's cancel out, giving us 7 here. And then we just perform our operations in order to solve this problem. We are adding 4, so we're going to subtract 4 from both sides. Boom. Leaving us with 6u is equal to 3. Since we are multiplying 6 and u, we're going to divide by 6, giving us u is equal to 1/2. We'll do one more because it's fun to work with fractions. All right. We're subtracting 1/3, so we're going to add 1/3 to both sides, giving us 9 over 3. And since in this case we are dividing n by 5, we're going to multiply by 5, right? After we simplify. These 5's cancel out. And there we go. All right, so sometimes you have multiple step equations that have a lot of stuff going on, but once again, it is no different. It is no different. You're doing what you already know how to do. It just takes a little bit longer. So we'll do one of these really long ones, and then we'll move on to something else. All right, so in this case, right, you have 8x minus 21 plus 5x is equal to negative 15. So we have 8x, we have 5x, right? We have what we call collecting like terms, right? Well, this one's good. I like this one better. So here we have to distribute this negative sign, right? So we have 10y, right? Distributing, this is basically, this negative sign is basically like multiplying by -1, but you're distributing that negative sign, right? To both of these gives us 10y minus 4y minus 8. Still collecting like terms, right? 10y minus 4y gives us 6y. So now we have our equation that looked just like the previous equations. 6y minus 8 equals -20. We're subtracting 8, so we're going to add 8 to both sides. A -20 plus 8 gives us a -12 equals 6 times y. We divide both sides by 6 because it's opposite operations. Gives us our answer of y is equal to -2. So multi-step equations are just a little bit longer, but they are all of the things we know how to do. So it is not a problem. It just takes us a few minutes longer.